This is John Clay from the Lexington Herald-Leader, along here with Josh Moore from the Lexington Herald-Leader, our UK football beat writer. We've both just been at UK's open football practice here at Fan Day, here at Kroger Field. And Josh, what were your impressions from the open practice today?
Yeah, it was a good time, kind of warm. You know, I like a good August heat. Really thought, it's kind of elementary. You can see guys kind of going through the first few steps of just kind of getting things ready to go here as we really ramp up and get things started at the beginning of the football season. Quarterbacks, throwing the ball around. People like to see that. Probably about 1,000 people here today. Would you say probably about 1,000 people?
Good crowd.
And a lot of them hung out for quite a while. It was really It didn't thin out till the very end there.
2-hour practice, right. Obviously, you talked about throwing the ball around. We got our first look at Sawyer Smith, who came in, graduate transfer from Troy, who came in, I think, probably to back up Terry Wilson at quarterback unless something happens there. What were your impressions of Sawyer? He's definitely got an arm watching him today. He can throw the ball. Oh,
yeah, he probably maybe had the best deep ball of the 5 guys out there throwing today. Honestly, I think he'll push Terry. I think, and that's what the coaches want. They want, they didn't want a situation where they come into the season. I mean, obviously they know he's the QB1. He's the guy that because you win 10 games, you're going to have that luxury. But you still want someone who's pushing. You don't want him to get relaxed. You don't want him to sit there and be complacent. He has to have a reason to get better other than just wanting to be better. And someone who can come in and throw a ball 60, 70 yards down the field, that's a pretty good reason to try to get better. And you can see, I thought Terry looked good today too. And Sawyer looks like he'll fit right in, and really seems like, based on what Mark Story wrote yesterday when we got to talk with him, we'll get to have a chance to mesh in and be a good backup quarterback in this offense.
The other question on defensive side is obviously the secondary. Devante Robinson going down for the season before the season even started. He was going to be a key piece. They're very young there, losing a lot of guys from last year. What did you think of the secondary today and what we saw? And this was the second practice, so you have to take that into account. But what did you see?
Yeah, I think the receivers looked a lot better than the secondary did today. But, I mean, again, second practice, it's kind of a situation there where guys are just – you're taking so many guys who had experience and played the last few years, and then you lose Devante, and you're really just kind of shaking it all up and seeing what you got. It looked Cedric Dort really impressed me today. He kind of was consistently the guy who was making plays. I mean, he still got burned a few times, but he was out there getting up on guys, caught like an interception or two. Thought it really looked like Jamari Brown was out there making some play. He was kind of interested in some younger guys. I mean, when you say younger guys, you're including like juniors who haven't really played, some sophomores who haven't played, but there's freshmen out there getting some run. And I guess what kind of the other thing that really stood out to me was those JUCO guys don't seem like they're up there with the 1s and 2s, which that would have been my assumption. You're kind of seeking those guys out to build up and come in and kind of be right away available, but maybe it's a case where they either got to catch up to everything that's being taught, or maybe they're just there to bolster the ranks, and then you just kind of break in case of emergency almost.
Right. No, yeah, I think Mark Stoops mentioned afterwards that one of them is kind of nicked up. Yeah, Eccles is nicked up. The one thing I drew from the secondaries, there's a lot of candidates out there. Yeah. If one guy's not working out, they can try another guy, because there's a lot of guys, and a lot of these guys were fairly highly recruited as well.
That's the case of the receivers group too. I mean, because again, after both, and that's another group where you're looking at, you've got one clear playmaker and then a bunch of guys who haven't really proven anything. Right. Ali, I think, looks like the guy that could be your most likely number 2 candidate. Isaiah Epps dealing with a foot injury, right. Stoops said after
didn't practice today. And this is John Clay from the Lexington Herald-Leader and Josh Moore from the Herald-Leader. Be sure and check out all of our coverage of Fan Day, the open practice, and all of Kentucky football on Kentucky.com and in the print edition of the Lexington Herald-Leader.